The search for Lord Stanley continues as the Stanley Cup Finals heat up. Speaking of heating up, the NBA Finals are also heating up, though one might be biased to say that fans are taking it a little too literally. All this and much more right now on Sports for Beginners. Welcome to episode number 9 of season 5. And it starts right now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Hey there, sports fans. What's going on? My name is Scott. Welcome back to Sports for Beginners, Season 5. This is episode number 9 of the 5th season of our show. Boy, we got a great one for you. A couple of our key topics here as we start off with a quick episode overview, including our lead off, which we'll get to after the episode overview. We got a lot of great topics to talk about. We're going to talk a little Toronto tempo. I mentioned in the opening the Stanley Cup Finals are heating up. We will get to where things sit right now between Vegas and Carolina. Plus, the New York Knicks are one win away from NBA champions for the first time since 1973, if I'm not mistaken, as they pulled off an improbable comeback in NBA history, one of the biggest leads in NBA Finals history, 29 points, and the Knicks came all the way back to win it in the final seconds of Game 4. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Before we get to Stanley Cup talk, I want to also save some time for some baseball talk, preferably around the standings. And as I mentioned, WNBA talk is coming up as the Toronto Tempo continue their action in the WNBA's play-in tournament, the Commissioners Cup. Their most recent victory over the Connecticut Sun in overtime. We will touch on that a little bit later. And just a quick tease of what's to come on episode 10, as we probably won't get to it in this episode, but the FIFA World Cup 2026 has begun. As we are recording this, it is officially game day. In our next episode, on episode 10, we will talk some FIFA World Cup 2026, so be sure to stick with us later in our show for what else is coming up on episode 10. Without further ado, let's kick off episode 9 with Knicks Spurs Game 4 of the NBA Finals. If the Spurs win, we have a tied series going to Game 5 in San Antonio at 2-2. If the Knicks win, they go one win away from hoisting, their first NBA title in a couple of years since 1973. And guess what? This game came right down to the wire. But before we jump into what the final score was and the key takeaway of the game at the end of that game, I gotta address the elephant in the room. Look, sports can get heated. They can get ugly. But can we please, for the love of basketball and the love of any sport, refrain from attacking other fan bases? After Game 3 of the NBA Finals, which the Knicks lost 115 to 111 in New York, the New York fans took that loss a little too literally. I can't blame them for trying, but did you really have to go attack Spurs Nation? As a fan of different kinds of sports, including basketball and, of course, baseball, I believe in just cheering for, and if they don't win, it's a shame, but there's always another game. Now, I get it, this is a playoff game. I get it, this is also a championship final game, but the bottom line is the Knicks just weren't able to pull off the comeback in game 3 and put a little oh my goodness on the San Antonio Spurs, which is why they lost game 3. Victor Wembanyama was also pretty good in game 3. In game 4, another pretty good day for Victor Wembanyama, but this time the Knicks pull off the comeback and shock the NBA and the basketball world by making NBA Finals history, coming back from down 29 points, and they find a way to beat the Spurs 107-106, which was our final score of Game 4. Game 5 set to go in San Antonio on Saturday, and Knicks fans who travel to San Antonio and Spurs fans who are in San Antonio, please, 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 for the love of the game and the love of sports, do not, I repeat, do not go crazy on each other's fan bases, no matter who wins Game 5 or who loses Game 5. Let me just break it down for you. If the Knicks win Game 5, they will win their first NBA title since 1973. However, if the Spurs win on Saturday, they will be one win away from forcing the game to go back to San Antonio in Game 7, and a potential Game 6 will be forced if they win on Saturday. Regardless who wins, this is going to come right down to the wire. I think this is going to go 7. Whether or not the Knicks win or the Spurs win remains to be seen, but I think this is going to go into 7 games. I don't think this game is ever going to, this series I should say, was ever going to be swept by the Knicks. And you saw what happened in game number 3, and even at the end of game number 3, after the Knicks lost, they took it a little too literally and had to have the police of New York involved. So I would say if I'm a Spurs fan in San Antonio, I'm just cheering for my squad. And if they lose, what a shame, but what a great season it was. Yes, we didn't win the title, but it was a great season regardless. If I'm a Knicks fan, and let's say the Knicks win Game 5, again, like I said with Spurs, if I'm a Knicks fan in San Antonio, I'm celebrating a Knicks win in Game 5 because it also means they win the championship. But if they lose, it's a shame. Let's go to Game 6 and let's try to win it at home. It is what it is. All right, folks, going to take a quick time out. When we come back, Stanley Cup fever in Raleigh and in Vegas. But the question is, who's going to grab glory and hoist Lord Stanley at the end of the season and at the end of the Stanley Cup Finals? Plus, what a basketball game we had in the Commissioner Cup action for the WNBA's Toronto Tempo and Connecticut Sun. My thoughts on that game and your final score from that game, as well as final scores from the other games going on, coming up next. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Hey Allie, did you know we have a books panel?
I did not know that. When is it?
It takes place on the last Friday of each month at 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Where we have fun and engaging conversations.
About a book that one of the panelists picks.
So, how can I learn more about the show?
To learn more, please visit bookspanel.ca. While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
The Books Pen is part of the Musa Slobodian Network. where good conversations happen.
To learn more about the network, please visit themusaslobodiannetwork.ca. While you're over there, hit subscribe so you never miss a network update. Enter your email and hit subscribe.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sports for Beginners, episode 9, I meant to say 9, of season 5. Our leadoff segment was a segment due to it was actually due to the NBA Finals. And I also used that time to talk a little bit about fans. And not just fans, but fans that go a little overboard. But let me just be clear before we get to our second segment, which is about the Stanley Cup Finals. Because this will go also for the Stanley Cup Finals, which are between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. Before we get down to that, just to reiterate from the leadoff of the NBA Finals, please, fans of the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes, do not go crazy enough that the authorities, including the police department, have to get involved. Please be considerate with who you're cheering for. Cheer for your squad. And if they don't win, remember that you have another game. Because in this case, for the Stanley Cup Finals, you do. The series for the Stanley Cup Finals, you do have another opportunity. And that's Game 6. But why do we have Game 6? Well, let's take you back to Tuesday night, where if the Vegas Golden Knights defeated the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals, they would go up 3-1 on Carolina, meaning they would be in the same scenario the New York Knicks find themselves in right now, which is one win away from championship glory. But the Hurricanes on Tuesday night were able to make sure that was not going to be the case. So both teams relatively still have a shot at Lord Stanley's Cup. And tonight, at the timing of our recording, by the time you hear it tomorrow or on the weekend, Game 5 will be in the books. But as we sit here, both Vegas and Carolina have a shot still at winning Lord Stanley's Cup glory. In Game 5, the winner of tonight's contest between the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes will need to win Game 6 to be able to hoist the Stanley Cup. Tuesday night's final, which was Game 4, Hurricanes 5, Golden Knights 3. Quite a contest it was, but it almost came down to the wire. I'm going to tell you right now, like I did with the NBA Finals earlier on, it's going to come down to the wire. Both of these series, the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals, are going to come down to who can get the job done in the game that they have to win in order to celebrate the championship run. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how bad you are. If you want the championship, you gotta go take care of business. And Carolina and Vegas know that. So I would not be surprised if Vegas takes game 5 here in Carolina, where the game will take place tonight, and then we have to decide it in Raleigh in 2 games time on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. I would not be surprised if this series goes as far as Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. But for that to even be close to being the case, the Carolina Hurricanes are going to have to beat Vegas at home, and then Vegas is probably going to have to take care of business at home, because if they take care of business on the road, they can win their second Stanley Cup in franchise history with a win at home. When is Game 6? Game 6 would go Sunday, so on Sunday night, they could get the Stanley Cup glory in Game 6 if they get the win in Game 5 tonight, heading into Vegas for a Sunday when they could probably get the win and hoist the cup for the second year in franchise history, for the second time in franchise history, I should say. As for the Carolina Hurricanes, going into Sunday, they could have that honor if they win on home ice tonight. But if they lose on home ice tonight, they will have to win in Vegas to take us to Wednesday, June 17th, Game 7, right back in Raleigh, where the game plays out tonight for Game 5. Because if they don't, and Vegas wins tonight and Sunday, the Vegas Golden Knights are Stanley Cup champions for the second time in franchise history. So with that said, I'm going to end this segment here before we touch on the WNBA. We will touch on that in a segment following a break, because we're talking most of this segment for the Stanley Cup Finals, I should say. I will say this to wrap it up here for Stanley Cup. To wrap it up here for Stanley Cup. You got to do what you gotta do to get the dub. So this is a huge game. I do have a score prediction for you, and I predict the Golden Knights will defeat the Carolina Hurricanes in overtime, 5-4. I don't think this will be decided in regulation. So give me Vegas in overtime, 5-4, to take a 3-2 series lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. All right, folks, gonna step aside for just a few quick moments. When we return, we turn our attention to the WNBA side of things, and it's time for a little Thursday preview of Commissioner Cup action. Takeaways from Tempo versus Sun in overtime on Wednesday. And Sparks versus Storm. That one came down to the wire, but the Sparks were able to get a few points to make sure they got the dub. All that and more still to come as we roll on with episode 9 of Sports for Beginners. The show continues for season 5, episode 9, with WNBA talk on the way when we return. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Have you ever wondered about the books we've been reading throughout the week?
Are you looking for friendly banter and technology tips at the same time?
Then you've come to the right place.
Check out The Ali and McCara Show. It airs live on Sunday afternoons at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Until spring. In the spring, we'll switch back to Mondays.
To learn more about the show, please visit thealiandmccarashow.ca.
While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. And besides, it's free.
Enter your email address and hit subscribe.
The Ali and McCara Show is part of the Musa Slobodian Network, where good conversations happen.
To learn more about the network, please visit themusaslobodiannetwork.ca.
Enter your email and hit subscribe so you never miss network updates.
Hi, Scott. It's Ali here. I just wanted to mention that I'm really enjoying the show and I'm really enjoying what you're putting together. And I wanted to just say I'm enjoying being a part of it as well. So please keep up the phenomenal work and make sure you guys keep this podcast going because it really suits you well.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo. Two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
All right, welcome back, folks, to episode 9 of season 5 of Sports for Beginners. Welcome back to the program. We've talked WNBA, talked NBA Finals. We've talked Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to talk some WNBA now. But first, my name is Scott. In case you haven't heard, I am the host of the program. And we are coming up on our conclusion of the show. Coming up in a segment time, we will talk about what's to come on episode 10 of season 5. We teased it a little earlier. FIFA World Cup 2026 is beginning today at the time of our recording. First 2 games take place tonight. By the time you hear this show, they will be final. We start off with host Mexico taking on South Africa. Game time just moments away from beginning. A little later tonight, we've got at 8 Eastern, 7 Mexico time, we've got Korea Republic taking on Czechia. Looking forward to that game. Canada begins their World Cup action as they take on Bosnia at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. 2 p.m. Mexico time, is the start time for Canada and Bosnia, if you're in Mexico. Paraguay and USA also playing tomorrow. Paraguay, and USA also playing tomorrow. Kickoff at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mexico time. And so all 3 hosts will start action with Mexico leading the charge on Thursday, which is today. Tomorrow, Canada and US play their first game of FIFA World Cup 2026. And on episode 10, we will get into action around that area. But keeping it to episode 9 for a little bit, at least for this segment. Last night, we had 2 games play out in the WNBA 2026 Commissioner Cup. One game came right down to the wire, and that was between the Los Angeles Sparks, current record at game time 5-6, against the 3-10 Seattle Storm from Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington, home of the NHL's Seattle Kraken and the PWHL's Seattle Torrent. The Storm battled hard, but it was the Sparks who came out on top 88-83. The final, not too shabby of a game from the Storm, but the Sparks were able to get the job done. Speaking of being able to get the job done, and we'll get to a takeaway from this game in a little bit, but in Toronto, earlier in Toronto, just before the Storm and Sparks got going, the tempo started off a little rusty, but they did start off pretty well against the Connecticut Sun. They find a way to force overtime against Connecticut and come away with a 106-102 victory. For the first time in franchise history, the Toronto Tempo go to extra time, including overtime, I should say, and they defeat Connecticut in overtime, 106-102, your final. Up next for Toronto Tempo basketball, a showdown with the Mystics in DC. Last time the Mystics and the Tempo played, it was the Mystics coming out on top, 68-65 in Toronto's season opener to kick off their inaugural season on May 8th. Can they get a dub in DC? Can they get a win in DC? We'll find out tomorrow afternoon. I should say tomorrow evening at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain, 1:30 Paris time, 12:30 UK time. Those are the morning timelines, by the way, for the UK and Paris. And with that said, up next for Connecticut, they will be back in action Tuesday against the Indiana Fever. Tip-off at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. London, midnight Paris time. All right, speaking of the Commissioner Cup, a couple of games going down today at the timing of our recording. We got the Fever and the Sky at 7 p.m. Fever's record coming into this one, 6-5. Sky are 4-8. For the regular season, that is. The Liberty and the Dream also going head-to-head. New York Liberty 8-4 on the season. 8-3 are the Atlanta Dream. Tip-off is just 30 minutes after 7 p.m. Mercury going head-to-head against the Wings later on this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. The Wings are 7-4. The Mercury 4-9, and the 8-3 Aces round out the schedule for today's action as they go one-on-one with the other expansion club, the 6-7 Portland Fire. Game time, 10 p.m. Eastern from Portland. With that said, that is your scoreboard for Thursday. When you hear this episode, the Tempo will be back in action at 7:30 p.m. Eastern against the Washington Mystics, and Golden State and Seattle going head-to-head. Seattle is now 3-11 on the season. They will take on Golden State, who were 6-5 going into their matchup on Tuesday against the Mercury. They are now going into their matchup Friday against the Storm, 7-5. Game time from Climate Pledge Arena, 10 p.m. Eastern. 2 games on the slate tomorrow, including Tempo and Mystics, and Storm versus Valkyries. 2 great contests coming up on Friday. All right, folks, a key takeaway from the overtime win for the Tempo, which pushes their record to 7-5, going up against a 4-6 Washington Mystics team that beat them on May 8th. First of all, against Connecticut, you're playing a team that hasn't had it all that well this year. Connecticut came into this game 2-11, so they had only won 2 games, but had lost more than they had won. Toronto came in 6-5. Winning 1 more game than they had lost. But I think most of our credit has to go to Brittany freaking Sykes. Brittany Sykes was on. She matched a career high 38 points with the Tempo rallying to beat the Sun 106-102, the final score, as I mentioned. By the way, the Toronto Tempo have now won for the 4th time in 5 games They trailed by 14 points in the second quarter, but Brittany Sykes went 13 for 13 on free throws, making 4 in the final 1 minute 19 seconds of regulation. Marina Mabry also with some great sparks as she added 21 points, and Laura J had 19 points in the game. Elia Edwards, Elia Edwards, hopefully I can say that right. Sorry, Miss Edwards, if I'm pronouncing it wrong. From Kingston, Ontario, had a career high 24 points for the Connecticut Sun, and she shot 8 of 9 from the field. Lilia Lacroix also had 24 points for Connecticut in their 106-102 overtime loss to the Toronto Tempo in just their first meeting in the franchise's history and of the season. And wow, it was quite a game. I must say, quite a game. But credit's got to be given where credit is due. Oh, by the way, want to mention just quickly here that the game saw 8 lead changes and was tied 9 times. Connecticut ultimately led in points in the paint, but they actually lost that total 42-40. But that's some great stuff with Toronto as well in fast break points. 12 for Toronto, 11 for Connecticut. Connecticut had the biggest lead of the day, 14. Toronto's biggest lead was 6. Break points. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but it's BP. 22 for Connecticut and 7 for Toronto. Couple of nice rebounds and a couple of interesting points in overtime and turnovers as well. But all in all, what a game it was. All right, folks, time to get a word in from our good friends over at Sienna T Radio. Following that, it's time to find out, as we wrap this one up, what else is on tap on episode number 10 of season 5, opposite FIFA World Cup 2026 chat, which we will have for you on our next episode. You'll find out what else is joining that when we return right after this from the good folk at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Episode 9, Season 5 wraps up with what to expect on episode 10 of Season 5 when we return. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back, folks, to the program. Back with you for just a few more minutes. Thank you so much for being with us. We enjoy the company. This is episode 9 of season 5, and this is what we would call last call. But for the duration of this show, since it's all about what's coming up on the next episode of the program, we invite you to get a quick look back at the WNBA schedule before we get into action, as well as what else is going on right now. We have a few baseball games underway as we speak. We've got The Detroit Tigers leading in the top of the 7th inning, 7-0 on the Minnesota Twins. The Diamondbacks are trailing the Miami Marlins 2-0 in the top of the 7th. At the end of 5 innings, I should say, the Cardinals and the Mets are tied at 4-4 apiece. Coming up in just a little bit, we've got Rockies and Cubs getting set to go. The Rangers and Royals are a delayed start. Their first pitch was supposed to be thrown at 2:10 p.m. Eastern. They are in a delay right now, so we will wait and see if that game gets postponed or if they do find a way to get it rolling. Still to come tonight, we've got the Dodgers taking on the Pirates at 6:40 p.m. The Mariners taking on the Orioles at 7:05 p.m. And at 7:40 p.m., we've got Braves and White Sox rounding out the evening. That'll be a good one, I'm sure. With that all being said, reminder that Game 5 of the NBA Finals goes Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Game 5 of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals goes tonight at the timing of our recording, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Golden Knights look to take a 3-2 lead. Carolina also looking to do the same. The winner of that game will have to win the game on Sunday in Vegas at 8 p.m. Eastern. But tonight, it's about Game 5, where the winner in Raleigh will have to win in Vegas to get Stanley Cup glory. Who's gonna win? Tonight, we'll find out before the day is through. And last but certainly not least, the WNBA action. The Commissioners Cup continues with the Mercury taking on the Wings at 9 p.m. The Fire taking on the Aces at 10 p.m. Eastern. The Dream taking on the Liberty at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And at 7 p.m., it's the Fever taking on the Sky. As for what's coming up on our next program, we mentioned that we will be talking World Cup action, FIFA World Cup, that is. We will also be talking PWHL on the next episode of Sports for Beginners Season 5, as we got some new faces in the PWHL, and you can find out all the information by heading to thepwhl.com/en and going over news. If you would like it in en français, please put after thepwhl.com FR for en français. With that being said, players have been re-signed, players have been protected, players have signed with expansion teams. We will talk about it all in between FIFA World Cup action on the next episode of Sports for Beginners Season 5, our episode number 10. Also on that episode, did the Knicks win the NBA title? Did the Spurs win the NBA title? All that and maybe Stanley Cup action to find out between Vegas and Carolina who is Stanley Cup champion 2026. We will find out all of that information before our episode hits the air. And that's next time on Sports for Beginners Season 5, Episode 10. For now, let's eavesdrop on FIFA World Cup 2026 and the rest of the ongoing action right now at the time of our recording on Thursday, June 11th, 2026, as we hope to drop this on Friday, June 12th, which is tomorrow, or Saturday, June 13th. We will see when it drops. But let's eavesdrop on the action. From outside of Sports for Beginners, my name is Scott McGregor, saying thank you so much for joining us on the program. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the action. Enjoy the cup action in the FIFA World Cup and any other sport you may be into. And we'll talk more with you real soon. This has been Sports for Beginners, and I can't wait to catch up with you guys after the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals wrap up. Plus, what other stuff will we have to talk about? We mentioned FIFA, we mentioned Stanley Cup, we mentioned NBA. We shall see what else pops up. But until then, it is not goodbye. It is until next time. Catch you on the flip side. Enjoy the action, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.